everyone. As we get started on our webinar today, I wanted to share with you and start out with a very familiar screen. Hello. Now this front screen is very familiar to a lot of us as we're deploying our devices in our organization. And in Jamf fashion, we've used automated MDM enrollment to configure this device exactly the way that we want it to. Once the device is done being set up, you'll notice that maybe there's something different on this device. Aside from system preferences, there's only two apps. And these two apps, Jamf Setup and Jamf Reset, are really the topic of our discussion today. My name is Deanne Porter. I'm a solutions architect here at Jamf, the company that designed and continues to bring to market these tools, Jamf Setup and Jamf Reset. For years at Jamf, we've been working with companies all over the world that use Apple devices, and some of which include some of these largest deployments in the enterprise. Companies such as IBM and SAP, Salesforce, Seattle Children's Hospital, National Geographic, retail establishments like Rituals, education institutions like the University of Oregon and Maryville University, and countless others. You and others have continued to leverage Jamf's tools and services to continue to empower your companies with Apple devices. It's safe to say that mobility has entered the enterprise. And with the evolution of mobile devices, there are obstacles and problems that a lot of us here today can relate to. Scenarios such as, what if we wanted to use iOS devices and share them amongst teams and individuals that maybe need them at various times of the day? Scenarios such as switching devices between shifts. How do we get the right app to the right user? And how do we continue to reduce device complexity and improve our company efficiencies? Jamf Setup and Reset solves these questions. If one user needs a device, but they need a different setup, sometimes we don't have the capacity to get to them immediately and right away. Sometimes it can take us an entire day to set up that device to be what the user needs in the moment. Setup and Reset solves the issues of security by providing the right apps for the right user, and Reset allows the end user to delete all the data off the device with just the tap of their finger. Jamf Setup allows us to use iOS devices in ways that otherwise were either impossible or extremely cumbersome. In whatever capacity an Apple device is being used in your organization, whether at the point of sale for retail, providing your team the right apps at the right time, and enabling the right type of communication among colleagues, patients being able to access their information safely and securely, and giving iPads to any worker so that they can get the apps that they need. All this is possible, all easily and simply and securely, right at your fingertips with Jamf Setup and Jamf Reset. So we know that devices in our organizations, and we need simple ways to configure and set these devices up. And that is our reason for hosting our webinar today. At Jamf, we want to continue to provide the tools to enable you and your teams with the processes and workflows to really empower your organization. Because as you're familiar with, at Jamf, our passion and our purpose is to help organizations succeed with Apple. And we've been doing this now since 2002, being able to support now more than 18,000 organizations and managing 12 million devices. Knowing that we've worked with some of the largest organizations, some of the top Fortune 500 companies, but something that we want to continue to grow and shout is our percent of customer retention rate. We want to help you continue to get the tools you need for this ever-changing workforce. So hopefully today, as we talk about Jamf Setup and Reset, you'll continue to find ways to use Apple technology and be successful with this technology in your organization. Our purpose is to help empower people with technology that puts humans first. And as we think about empowering you, your people, your customer, your employees, we come across two different journeys, or, if you will, two different stories. And our story starts with this one question. Is this device a one-to-one device, or is it shared? The provisioning and deployment journey will differ based on this foundational question. Let's go a little bit deeper. A one-to-one device could also be considered the user's primary device. It's the device that they're using for all things, every day, versus a shared device is usually a secondary device. We all have shared devices that we work with and encounter every day, whether that's at the coffee shop as a POS solution, signing the handheld device for a package that's been delivered, filling out a form on an iPad while waiting at the doctor's office. Maybe you use a shared device at work, whether that's to clock in, give a presentation, or even run a demo. So a one-to-one device, which is a primary device, is personalized. It's mine, it's yours, it's an individual experience. I might authenticate with my company credentials. A shared device, which is that secondary device, is customized. Instead, it has purpose built into it. It has a specific purpose and a specific task. It has a specific need. It might look like this, where a personalized or individualized device is associated to an individual. They have credentials and email, personal photos, and other personal data. That customized device or that shared device doesn't have a need for those credentials or personal data because this device is set up for a task. It has a use case. It has purpose built into the very provisioning process. It has associated to a rule, into a task, into a need. And our story that we're crafting today really has three parts. And while every deployment of yours is unique and different, every deployment also has three major milestones. First, devices need to be set up. The device is used for some period of time. After it's being set up, a user physically has that device, whether that's one-to-one or a shared device. This could be a temp position, a contractor. Some organizations are using devices for onboarding for their new employees. And then after that device is being used, the device needs to get reset, wiped clean, and then re-provisioned to another employee for another role, for another use. And when we created Jamf Setup and Reset, we needed to craft a different journey in the middle. We wanted to provide a user that didn't need a primary device, but maybe needed that secondary device. Usually, this is an iOS device with a task or a role. Think about a device that is assigned to you to accomplish a task. These types of deployments are usually temporary and have a high turnover rate. This single iPad could be used by a dozen people in the same day. And when approaching this problem, we also knew that if we were going to empower IT and empower our users, we needed to create a tool that from the moment the device turned on, it was simple and it was easy to use. It provided a flexible use case, no matter what was needed within the organization. And to make users comfortable with the entire process, we wanted to provide an easy-to-use device wiping tool in Jamf Reset that reassured the end user that their data would be securely removed right from that device, instantly and on demand. So, we keep coming back to this screen. We've talked about Jamf, we've talked about our journey, the story that we're writing for shared devices in our organizations. Let's take a look at a couple customer scenarios that potentially could work for your organization. Now, these don't include all of what's possible with Jamf Setup and Reset, but I hope that with our time, you can begin to see what might be helpful for you and your organization's needs. Starting with a simple example of retail. When we walk into a retail establishment, we see lots of different roles and responsibilities, whether that's the sales team, a manager, our inventory, our point of sale. We're seeing organizations use this application to ship devices directly to the store and letting the setup team and implementation team choose how the device will be used, and then when the device is configured directly at the retail location. It minimizes time for devices to be set up as well and allows the store to better use all their devices because they can change the devices based on their needs. This reminds me of my own past before coming to Jamf. I was working at a retail store, and we used iPhone and iPad as a tool to engage with our customers and provide that great support. We had technicians, sales teams, managers, inventory team. And every team had their own bucket of devices that they had to grab and get a hold of. Now, this was great because I could grab a device and have the apps that I needed as a sales associate. But when those batteries died, or the device needed repaired, or we had a sudden increase in traffic in our store, we needed more people to be able to grab the sales associate iPads in order to take care of our customer. And sometimes there just wasn't enough. But how great it would have been to be able to grab a manager iPad or grab a technician iPad, an inventory iPad, and then reconfigure it so that I could use it to meet my customer that was there in the front of the store. And how great that would have been too for all of us here to see that work out really well. So let's take a moment, let's go into an actual iPad with Jamf setup and reset on it to walk through maybe a fictional company like Mordrums here. So I'm a sales associate. I've walked in, I've clocked in for my day, and I grab out of the bank of iPads my device here, which you see on your screen. Now, the only two apps on the bottom are either green for Jamf setup or red for Jamf reset, and it's a way for me to remember that I want to go and get started on my day. So I click on the Jamf setup app. I then go into this app that says, Welcome to Mordrums, or remember what company I'm with. I then select who I am within the organization. As a sales associate, I click on that and I click select, and instantly Jamf Pro is changing the inventory on this device so that instantly I can get the app that I need as a sales associate. Now that I'm out on the floor and I'm helping customers, in between customers, the manager comes up to me and asks, can I use your iPad? I easily give the device over to her and she clicks on Jamf Setup. She can then reconfigure this device for her needs as a store manager. She clicks Store Manager, clicks Select, and instantly, right from her fingertips, she can get her device configured and set up for her needs. Now, there might be something that this manager puts on this device that shouldn't be saved on the device or given to another employee. Maybe it has customer data on it of sorts. So before she gives it back or puts it back in the charging bin, she goes over to Jamf Reset and decides to safely and securely reset the device back to factory settings. After it's gone through the reset process, we see a hello screen, and the next associate can quickly and easily go through the setup of the device and be configured by Jamf Pro to then be set up and ready to go for their day on the sales floor. Now that's a quick and easy and very simplistic view of what's possible with Jamf Setup and Jamf Reset. We're going to take a couple looks at a couple different organizations as well. Maybe your organization is within construction. There's a lot of different roles, whether that's a supervisor, electrician, plumbing, framer. There's different locations that individuals need to get to at different times, as well as contractors and individuals coming in at all times of the day with all different types of needs. As we click through this device here, I can easily click and decide who I am and what I need to be while I'm on the job site. I click on Jamf Setup. I can then change the role to supervisor. Once I click Log In, again, Jamf Pro configures this device exactly what I need. I click the Home button, and the apps that I need to be successful are revealed. And just as a helpful reminder, the backdrop changes to remind me that this is a supervisor iPad. Well, while I'm on the site, I come across an electrician that needs to know what they need to do or an app that they need. So I can easily and quickly go to Jamf Setup, click Electrician, click Log In, and instantly, again, the apps that I need as electrician are changed. And I'm reminded that this isn't a supervisor device, but this is an electrician device. Now, there might be some use cases where you only need one app. For instance, if a visitor comes to the construction site, I just want to be able to provide them the tools that they need, but I don't want to give them the ability to change their role back to somebody else. So I click on visitor and I click login, and instantly, because I've taken Jamf Setup away from the scope of this device, Jamf Setup is going to disappear. And the only app that's going to be available in this configuration is Reset. Now, if I had some other apps that needed for an auditor or a visitor, of course, those would be present as well. Well, then now when I'm done with my shift or I'm done with my visit, I go into Jamf Reset, and I can easily and simply erase the device back to factory settings safely and securely. Again, this is all user-driven, without IT required. It doesn't take that hard to click a couple buttons and get this done. Another example within financial services before we get into another real-life example for our education customers. Maybe you walk into a financial institution and you have different roles as a customer, a kiosk, your teller. The mortgage lender is needing to get to apps that are specific for signing documents for a family's new home. Or a financial advisor, which wants to show projections and build out a plan to help a family grow. These are really simple and secure ways for an organization to use Jamf Setup and Jamf Reset. Let's look at this example here for Township Elementary School. This elementary school has a need with iPad carts. Maybe you have different devices that are needed for different roles within your organization or school, and we need to easily and simply configure them. As we go through this device, as I click on the home button on this iPad, I'm going to again see Jamf Setup and Jamf Reset. Now, I put the system preferences or settings on the other page just to remove that from our view. But as a librarian or as a technician, I'm going to go into Jamf Setup and I'm going to look at all the different configurations that are possible for this iPad. You can add as many as you'd like from the configuration profile. Well, I'm going to click Language Arts Cart, and then instantly this device is changed to be needed for language arts. And when I push the home button, the apps that I need are revealed right in front of me and for the students that need to be taken care of today. But maybe this cart, before going back to the librarian or IT to be configured, needs to go directly to the science team. And so I'm going to change these devices from a couple clicks of a button to the science cart. And the device is instantly ready for the science class down the hallway. And then lastly, maybe I'm done. Maybe I'm ready to delete everything off this device and get it back to factory settings. I'm going to click on Jamf Reset. I'm going to reset the device back to factory settings. I'm going to clear all the data, and we're going to continue on our day. Now, if your organization has more questions around the education and how do I use Jamf Setup and Reset, specifically within our K-12, you can check out the webinar that my colleague Sam Weiss hosted a couple weeks ago entitled Change Your World, an iPad for EDU with 3 clicks. You can see that on jamf.com/webinars. And then lastly, our last customer example today, I wanted to highlight the University of California, San Diego Health, as they're using Jamf Setup and Jamf Reset as a way to empower and connect mothers and their babies at the very infancy, if you will, of their relationship. You can see that they've customized the logos and the needs. Their need was, we have a lot of moms that want to connect with their babies, but we don't want very many devices to be able to do that. And so they were able to configure Jamf Setup and Jamf Reset in order that a nurse could quickly connect the 2 devices and then ultimately connect the families together. This is just one example of a user-driven configuration that is really simple and empowering. Now, a quick comment on both of these apps. Jamf Setup and Jamf Reset, they're very simple. Hopefully you've seen that in 3 clicks we can get what we need. They're customizable. You can change the colors or change the array. From the end user perspective, it doesn't require IT to change that device to what's needed. The Jamf Reset app is the same way. It's user-initiated wipe, end-user security. Everything can be customized exactly the way that you want it or branded for your organization. Now, in order to do this, we use the tools like Managed App Configuration, changing the extension attributes within the app config of Customize This App, as well as using smart groups and scoping in order for the right apps to be revealed or hidden depending upon the extension attribute that's chosen within Jamf Setup. Both of these apps are available through the App Store. So using Apple Business Manager and Apps and Books, with device-based installments, you, your customers, your employees can simply and easily get these devices on their company devices. It's a universal app for iPhone and for iPad. It's currently not available for Mac. This is a user-driven iOS app only at this moment. And it requires Jamf Pro. In order for this magic to happen, it integrates within app configurations to customize this experience based on your company's needs. Now, you might have some questions about, this sounds interesting, I want to pilot this or I want to test it. How do I get into the app config? I've never seen that, or I've never configured an application to be deployed for an iOS device. Well, quickly on this screen, you can easily see our knowledge-based articles on Jamf Nation to learn more about how do I configure Jamf Setup for my organization or for Jamf Reset. Quickly go to jamf.it/configure-setup, and you'll get the knowledge-based articles of how to configure Jamf Setup, as well as some questions and concerns from other customers like yourselves in the comments bar below. And that's the same for Jamf Reset. Go to jamf.it/configure-reset. It'll be an easy way for you to get access to the support you might need in deploying Jamf Reset for your organization. So what's next? Well, we would love to hear more about your story. We'd love to hear about how you're using this in your organization. So send us an email, success@jamf.com, or even join the discussion on Jamf Nation. Go to jamf.com/jamfnation and search Show Off Your Setup and Reset, and join some of the other customers and screenshots that you saw today on our website so that you can continue to get the inspiration and troubleshooting done for your organization. And with that, we're going to send everyone on their way. Thank you so much for your time, everyone. Have a wonderful day.